All right, so welcome to Essentials of Anatomy. Thanks for the question, Christine. To change your name, if you click on participants and then you click on your name, you can change your section. Just add in your section number. If you have lab on Tuesday, you'll be section 35. And if you have lab on Thursday, you'll be section 36. So if you're familiar with using Zoom, you can always put in a question to the group chat. You can send me a message individually. I don't see any names. I'm going to see if one of our classmates can help you out, Christine, too.
Hey, right now, if you have it on the right side, click on the little 3 dots and the menu will pop down and it will say rename.
Thank you so much. All right. Any other questions, put into that chat and our classmates will help answer it, or I'll try to keep an eye on it too. So this is at Crafton Hills College. I am a little bit far from Crafton right now. I actually live in Pico Rivera. So they needed teachers and I'm teaching online. So I don't know if we'll ever actually meet in person, but I'm assuming you guys are probably pretty far away as well. Maybe you're not all in Ukaipa. So we're gonna go over the syllabus today. I'm gonna take you through kind of what the schedule looks like. We're gonna try to keep this online class very simple, very organized and straightforward so no one gets lost. Attendance is mandatory, and that's just to try to kind of establish this online environment and really to try to help you guys succeed in this course as much as possible. So to take attendance in the chat, if you could always just say that you're here, and then I'm gonna save these chats and that's how I'll take attendance. So at any point during this time, make sure your name has its section number next to it and just write the word here, and that's how I'll take attendance. So let's get into the syllabus. I'm assuming you guys can all log into Canvas. If you don't know how to log into Canvas, enter that question into the chat and I'll let you guys kind of chat with each other to help each other out. That might be the easiest way to help you guys. So hopefully you all see my Canvas screen right now. Feel free to interrupt and talk at any time too. So just unmute yourself and talk because I might not see the chat.
I'm sorry. I'm clicking on the 3 dots under participants and it says more, and my only options are dislike, like, clap, need a break, and away.
Good, Christine. And I told you the wrong thing, Christine. Click on the 3 dots next to your name. Do you see your name?
No. I don't see any names.
Do you see me talking on the right side of your screen?
Hey, Professor, can you share your screen so she can see it?
I see Yasmani Reyes, number 35. That's who I see.
Yes, so like just like that, your name will look the same. If the professor shares her screen, you'll be able to see it.
So yeah, let me do.
I see her now. I see the professor now.
So if you see me in that little black box,
yes.
Is there a way, can you hit all the here? Let me try to do something. Thanks for your patience here, guys.
I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine.
I've done this before with the up and all that, but not right now.
Okay, do you see all of us? Do you see just me talking right now?
I see just you and you're the whole screen.
Perfect. So in the upper right, is there anywhere that says like gallery view? It should be like, click that. And now do you see, your name should be in a black box.
Uh-huh.
And are there 3 dots next to, in the upper right corner of your box?
No.
There aren't.
It's just my name with white font.
If you run your cursor over the box, do 3 dots come up?
No. Should I leave the meeting and come back?
No. On mine, it says, you go to participants and you click your name. And then on the right, it says more. And that's where I had to rename my name.
Yeah, like I said, that's how it was for me before in a past Zoom meeting where I would see a list of people active, and right now nothing's popping up under more except for those icons as if showing my status.
No worries, Christine. Why don't you just write your name and then just say here and then tell me what section. That's no problem.
Okay, and can you go back and tell me what the section number is again? I was too busy trying to figure out how to change.
No worries. This is totally fine. If you're Tuesday lab, you're section 35. And if you're Thursday lab, you're section 36.
Okay.
Yep. No worries.
Thank you.
We're all going to get through this together. We all have kids. We're all like teaching our kids right now. This is extremely stressful on us all. I might be moving to another country in January, but I'll talk about that later. Okay. You're probably like, who is this professor that I got? Okay, let's go back to the syllabus. And I just exited out of my Google Chrome. So you should know that Google Chrome works best. So you should use Google Chrome for all lab activities especially. To get Google Chrome, you can just search for it and download it to your device. Let me get Crafton Canvas, and then I'll share my screen. And again, you can type in your name, your section number, and type in here for the chat, and that's how I'll be taking attendance. Okay, does everyone see my Google Chrome with Canvas set up?
Yes.
Hopefully. Okay, so I'm just going to go into section 35. And in both sections, it should be laid out the same way. The syllabus is the home screen. You can also download the syllabus when you go into files and click up the syllabus document. And that's what I'm going to pull up right now as we go through the syllabus. Also under files, you'll find all the lecture PowerPoints for the entire semester. So all lecture PowerPoints are here and all lab PowerPoints are here. The lab PowerPoints will be for each specific exercise. So this week we'll get through exercises 1 and 2. And all lab PowerPoints are here, lecture PowerPoints, and the syllabus. I probably won't post other files here. In announcements, I will post the link to my YouTube channel and specifically the playlist that will take you to all lab and lecture recorded videos. So if you do need to miss a lab or a lecture, they'll be recorded to my YouTube channel. So here, the Zoom link will be the same every week. So if you just want to make this a favorite for a lecture Zoom link and make this a favorite for the lab Zoom link. So that'll be the same every week. So we'll try to keep that easy. And then the password is fall20. That's just because there's so many of us, it'll try to decrease anybody else hopping in. Okay, again, let's take a look at the syllabus right now. So I'm going to share a new screen with just that syllabus document because it's a little bit easier to see the syllabus document here. So this is us. Does everyone see it? Let me know if you don't see the syllabus document. We'll do that. And just shout out, unmute yourself. Hi. Is someone there?
Sorry, yeah.
Oh, no worries. I'll mute you, Vanessa, unless you have a question.
No.
Okay, just feel free to unmute yourself. Okay, so my name's Elizabeth Bamer. I go by Beth. I've taught anatomy and physiology for many years. I'm a mom, so part-time teaching is perfect for me. Here's my email, so please contact me this way. You guys also should have an email. I'm not sure why it just became yellow there. You guys should also have a school email, and you'll need to use that when you submit your lab assignments, and we'll go over that. I will be holding office hours via Zoom, but just email me ahead of time if you need it, if you have a question or if you want to talk to me face to face. This is fall 2020. These are our sections, the unit. That's so strange. There's like this yellow. That's weird. Anyway, do you guys see these yellow marks on my screen? That's just so weird. Anyway.
Yes.
You do. That's, I don't know where that's coming from. Sorry about that. Okay, anyway, you can still read it. So the only thing you'll need for this class is the textbook. And the textbook is right here. And you can purchase it online. You can get any version of it. You can just rent it. You can get an e-copy. You don't need to purchase any access code with the textbook. The access code will give you access to a lot of online resources, which could be helpful for you if you want to study extra. There's a lot of great online resources that McGraw-Hill puts out, but you do not need to purchase the access code. And again, that access code gives you access to a bunch of online resources, practice, homework help. But in general, all you need for this course with me is just the textbook itself. And that can be an e-version, however you want to do that. For lab, here's the electronic lab manual. So if you click on this link, that'll take you to the lab manual and you can download it as a PDF and just keep it on your computer. So that's the lab manual. We'll be going through virtual labs, and this link will take you through the virtual labs. And I'm gonna wait to take you through lab when we get to your specific lab for the week. But if you click on this virtual lab, it'll take you through, I'm gonna wait for a lab to explain that. So I know Thursday you might have to wait a little bit. This link, the virtual lab link, is available for you all the time. So you guys can go into that and practice the lab exercises, and you'll see what I mean when we get to lab. The lab activities, I will be giving you guys those lab activities through our synchronous lab session. So you can only do those activities while you're in lab with me. You can submit them and I'll take you through what that'll mean. But those lab activities, the link will only be provided during lab. So that's encouraging you guys to come to lab to get that link. Each lab activity is worth 5 points. So for some reason there's an emergency and you miss lab, you'll have to forfeit those 5 points. I can't accept those lab activities at any other time, just how this course is being run. And it's being run like this throughout the department. So if you do have to miss a lab and several of you have to work or have some emergencies coming up, you just might have to forfeit 5 points. It's not a whole lot. If you have to miss a couple days of lab, we'll go through points in a little bit. Hopefully you all know how to get into Zoom, the Canvas website. These are the course objectives. This is an introduction to anatomy physiology, student learning outcomes. I'll let you guys read those on your own. Method of instruction. So Zoom web, so a lot of you guys have probably read through this already. You should be fully clothed. I know it's probably like 100 degrees, especially where you guys are. I can't imagine. Out in Ukaipa, it's probably hotter, but it's crazy hot where I am. I'm a little bit closer to LA. So you should be fully clothed. You shouldn't be sleeping. I would love to see your faces, but I do know some of you have kids, some of you are doing other stuff. So I'm just gonna leave that up to you. Students are required to log on during lecture. Always just write here, your name, and your section number in the chat, and that's how we'll take attendance. For lab, the formal format of activities of the lab will also be done during the registered lab day and time. So for section 35, we'll have lab after this. We might not always take that whole time, and probably most of the time we won't take the whole lab time. I'll give a PowerPoint introduction for lab, and that PowerPoint is in Canvas. Then there'll be a lab activity, which I'll give you the link for during that lab time. You must always register for the lab activity using your student email account to submit the lab activities. If you want to, you can use a personal email account to just forward. You can like set it up where your personal email account gets forwarded to this email address, but you must submit it through your student account or it won't be accepted for credit.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
Could we also submit it through Canvas?
We can't, so that's a great question. So the person who designed this, and he's super organized, Dr. Sam, he set it up all on Google Drive. So this is all being done on Google Drive. There's no like Canvas quizzes or tests. It's all Google Drive, and it works best using Google Chrome. Great question, Kyle.
Yeah.
Is that going to be a problem or an issue?
Yeah, I just lost my password a while back, and it's really hard to make a new one.
Oh, for the student email account?
Yeah, exactly.
Can you email someone in IT at Crafton? Or?
Yeah, I'll probably have to do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, let me know.
For sure.
Yeah. And then there's this customized virtual lab, and these are lab exercises that will take you through the lab manual itself. It's pretty cool. You'll see it in lab. This is available to you all the time. And the link for that, again, the lab, virtual lab, which you're always able to go into, the virtual lab is right here. You guys can go into there right now if you want to take a look at it. You can work through the first 2 exercises. Basically, you're working through the exercises that you would be completing in the lab manual if we were in person. Okay. Homework, basically what you're required to do is to read the assigned chapters. And the laboratory assignments are to be completed by the due date, but they must all be completed during that lab time. And I'll show you what that'll count for. Attendance is mandatory. You can always participate. Lecture exams will be timed and will be completed with a 1 hour. If you do need any sort of accommodation, you please don't tell me right now. You can tell me later in an email, and we'll go through the proper channels to get you guys extra time, or I'll make a separate lecture exam for you and give you extra time. Any missed lecture exams must be communicated. Do not wait until the end of the semester. So there will be 15% deduction from the earned points for a qualified makeup. That's really lenient. I just normally offer no makeups. Please do not miss a lecture exam, but if you do need to, we'll find a time for you to make it up, and you'll have to miss some of those points. Okay, lab exams are 30 minutes each, and they'll also be done during our synchronized lab time. If there's some sort of emergency, we can try to set up a different lab exam for you, but for the majority, you need to do the lab exam during that time. And you must, again, you must communicate with me through this email address. You can also communicate with me through Canvas, but you have to submit all lab exams and all lab activities through your SBCCD email address. Okay, I'm just gonna check the chat to make sure there's no questions in the chat. Jennifer, you can't see anything. You have a bad internet connection. Right now I'm just going through the syllabus. So you can always pull up the syllabus file on Canvas if you can't see it. And I don't see any other questions.
Hey, Professor, I do have a question.
Okay.
So for the lab side of a class, are you going to put a link also on Canvas, kind of like for this one?
Yeah, for the recording of the lab lecture.
No, I'm saying for class itself. So after this, when this is over, do you put like relink another link to another Zoom meeting for the class?
Yeah, so the Zoom meeting is already in the announcements. Here, let me go back to, so Google Chrome back into Canvas. You're in the announcement, the most recent announcement has the lecture and lab Zoom links to it. So there's the lecture Zoom link for lecture, and here's the lab Zoom link. And those will be the same every single week. So I tried to keep that the same. So just save that link for the rest of the semester, make it a favorite, and that's lecture and lab. Good question. All right. Do we have to have our video turned on? Technically, the syllabus says yes. I'm going to be more lenient because I won't be following that all the time because I have like a 1-month-old here. So I would appreciate your video turned on. Maybe if I ever get observed and there's the department chair in here, I'll make you guys turn your videos on. But it would be great if you could, just to see your face, but not necessary because I won't be able to follow that all the time either. Okay, back to the syllabus. Holler out. I think you have an option to like raise your hand to ask a question. I don't know how you do that, but if you figure out how to do that, you can do that. And then I see your name pop up right away too. All right. So here are your point distributions. Your lecture exams and final will be 100 points each. You'll have 6 of them. You'll have 4 lab exams worth 50 points each, and you'll have 11 lab activities worth 5 points each. So this is why these lab activities, you can only earn those points in lab. But if there is an emergency, I'm not going to allow you to make up that lab activity. You'll just have to forfeit those points because that's just how it'll work out. So you won't miss out on too many points. And some of the lecture exams and lab exams could have an extra credit question built in. Study guidance, do not miss our lecture meetings. Studying, especially for A&P courses, if you can study even 20 minutes to read through your notes every day, I would encourage you to do that. Here are tutoring services. They are available online for you. DSPS, click this website if you think you need an accommodation. Do not tell me now in front of everybody because we want to keep it private. FERPA acts, drop policy, you can read through that. Enrolled students who do not log in through Zoom on the first day will be dropped by the professor to accommodate ads if it applies. Well, we have plenty of space right now and it's online, so I'm adding basically anybody. Otherwise, you must drop yourself from this course by the deadline. I do not drop anybody. So if at the end of the semester, someone asks me, oh, can you drop me from the class? Or if you say I never dropped you, that's totally your responsibility to drop the class by the deadline if you wish to do that. So then we get into the schedule. Just look at, thanks for giving your attendance. Let me just check my email to make sure no one is trying to get in and they have the right. Okay. So here is the tentative lab schedule. And again, this is, I think it's pretty straightforward and really well organized. Tuesdays and Thursdays we'll meet at 11:30 to 12:50, and then lab goes from I think 1 to 3:50. We probably won't use the whole time. We might not even use the whole time for lecture, but we'll always start lab at, I think it's 1 p.m. To give you guys a little bit of a break. So we'll spend a couple days on chapter 1, and then these are your lab topics. So for this week, we're going to get through exercises 1 and exercise 2 in the virtual lab. So again, if you guys are just listening to me and you want to pull up another screen and look at that virtual lab link, to start even looking through what the virtual lab looks like, you can look at that. And then you'll get 10 points for coming to lab today and Thursday by completing and getting right the questions of those lab activities. And again, I'm going to go through lab more when we get to lab. And that takes us through the syllabus. So how do you guys feel about it? Is it pretty straightforward? Other questions? Can you all hear me okay? No other questions? Nothing coming into? Yeah.
Section 35, they only go to lab on Tuesdays, or?
Yes, so if you're in section 35, you have lab on Tuesdays. And if you're section 36, you have lab on Thursdays.
Thank you.
Good question.
How do we find out? I have a question.
Yep.
How do we find out which section are we in?
Good question. Log into Canvas.
Okay.
And go to your dashboard. Hopefully you guys see my Canvas right now. I think that's what I'm showing you, my Chrome. And then it should say 101.35 or 101.36 for you guys.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, if you guys ever have questions, or if I ever like make a mistake or get something messed up or you're confused about something, let me know, because I'm teaching 4 other classes this semester, and I just, if I make a mistake or get confused, you guys let me know. Our final grade will be determined from our lecture and lab exam scores. Yes. So your final grade will be determined from lecture scores, exam scores, and those lab activities. So here we have your point distribution breakdown. 600 points are basically lecture exams, 200 are lab exams, and then 55 are lab activities. So about 850 possible points. There might be a couple extra credit points in there. There's no extra credit options at the end of the semester, so don't ask me to like do any extra credit work at the end. Yeah. All right. Can you guys see
how many
yeah.
questions are your quizzes or the tests?
Yeah, so I think they will vary. I think it'll either be, I think it's about 1 point per question.
Okay.
The lab activities might be a little different. Sometimes there might be 3 questions for a lab activity. There might be 7 or 10 questions, but they'll only be worth 5 points itself. 1 second here. You click the virtual lab link in the syllabus to open up the lab exercises, but you can't get points for any lab activities because that link I will give you during the lab time. So you have to show up to lab. And Nathan, did you send me a message? I can't see it.
Professor, you say for the activities, you're gonna give the link during the class?
During the lab, I will give you the link to take you to the lab activity that will give you the 5 points.
Awesome.
Yeah. So
yes,
let me. Yeah.
Hello, Professor. I sent you that. I was here.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds
Sorry
good.
about that.
Nope, no worries. Yeah, so I'm just going to go through lab one more time. Lab, I'll give you an introduction via PowerPoint. I'll record that. The lab activity link I will send you. It'll be a Google Drive link, and I'll send that to you during lab time. So you can only get into that lab activity by coming to lab, clicking on that link, and then doing it during that lab time. And then the virtual lab, this link, that is basically just your lab manual, but in virtual form, exercises that you guys can complete. Can you just raise your hand? Has anyone like clicked on that in the past 10 or 15 minutes since we've talked about that? So you just enter in the Anatomy 101 section. It's really cool how it's laid out. We'll do the first 2 exercises today, and I'll show you more about that when we get to lab.
I was actually, I did all of them last night at work, and they're actually pretty easy to go through, and you can reset them at any point in time.
Yes, thank you. They're super easy to go through. They're available to you all the time. Yeah, so use that kind of as your study tool.
Did you say we get graded on those or no?
No, you don't get graded on
Okay.
those. You'll only get graded on the lab activities, which I'll send you during lab. Yeah.
Okay.
There's no submission portion to those exercises. It just says reset, and you just keep going. So.
Thank you. Yep. If our scheduled lab is on Thursday, can we attend on Tuesday to make it up? Unfortunately, no, and I'm so sorry about that. That's, again, not really my policy. It's just how this course is set up. You have to come during your scheduled lab time, only because that's when I'll give you the link, and your sections are separated out in Google Drive. Your link won't work if you come on a different day. You could come on a different day if you want to hear me, but you won't be able to submit your lab activities unless you come during your scheduled lab time. This will make more sense when you see how lab is set up. So I'm sorry about that. So if there is like an emergency, you can always listen to the lab recorded lecture on a different day, but you'll just have to forfeit those points. Sometimes those lab activities will only take maybe 5 or 10 minutes to do. So if you can't make it to lab, but you can log on quick, like one of you is like an EMT, or I don't remember your name, but sorry to single you out. But if you can just pull it up during your work break, some of you guys work in hospitals or are CNAs, just to complete that. Okay, other questions? Do you guys see the PowerPoint in front of you?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So we'll go ahead, and we have I think we have 3 days to get through this PowerPoint. So we're not gonna get through it all. Maybe we'll just get through 15 or 20 minutes of it, and then I'll leave maybe 15 or 20 minutes, just you guys can ask more questions for me, and then we'll break for lab for those of you who have lab with me today. So let's start with this. Will we be able to use the book while taking the test? Good question. So how I was told, this is all honor system policy. So the questions themselves, we tell you not to use the book, not to use notes, and we just go by the honor system. I think for your guys' sake, if you're planning to go into a healthcare related field, you really want to learn this material anyway. And if you go into taking anatomy and physiology, learning it now will be easier to pass tests later. If any of you guys want to be nurses or EMTs, or not EMTs, but you'll have to take written exams anyway, and you'll have to pass them without using notes. So we go by the honor system policy here. At other colleges, we're using programs where they watch you take tests, but that's not happening here. We're just doing honor system. You are timed with an hour, so I don't know if you'll have a whole lot of time to look through your notes to answer questions, but do the honor system for your sake and learning the material. Study it before you take the tests. Good question. All right, I hate doing this online. I wish we were in person. This is not fun. Okay, I'm just gonna pull up the chat, take a sip of water. And no kids have bothered me yet. Okay, so let's start with chapter 1. So this is a picture of the textbook. If you're wondering what the textbook looks like, it's 10th edition. This whole lecture is being recorded, and I'm just gonna go ahead and mute you all again because I hear some things. But you should still be able to unmute yourselves. So this is just kind of a basic introduction of the human organism. This PowerPoint itself is on Canvas, and the lecture being recorded is on Canvas. You can always go back and look at this. Also, again, read through your textbook and use your textbook as a good resource. So when we look at anatomy versus physiology, Anatomy investigates body structure. So we usually say anatomy is the structure, the study of structures in the body. The term itself means to dissect. Physiology investigates processes and functions. So anatomy will be looking at all structures. Physiology will be looking at functions. And because this is a combined kind of essentials intro course, we'll be combining them both together. Systemic physiology studies the body organs as systems, and cellular physiology studies body cells. The importance of A&P is to understand the body and how it responds to stimuli. So every sort of stimuli that you guys are perceiving right now, from the screen, from the noise of me talking, that is all a physiological process that your body is taking in. Environmental changes, so your body is constantly adjusting and maintaining homeostasis. Right now, some of you are probably sweating. Maybe some of you are shivering if you're in really cold AC. Environmental cues, diseases, injury. So understanding how the body works is really important for A&P. Also in the chat window right now, just to make it a little more interesting while I'm talking, if you could just type why you're taking this class. Just why, because I'm curious to see, I would normally ask you that and we'd go around, but that could take a while because there's almost 60 of us in here. So just go ahead and write why you're taking this class. If it's just for general requirements, that's great, but maybe some of you are entering the health-related field. So types of anatomy is systemic, where you study the body organs as systems. It's regional, where you study body regions, and this is typically what you would find in medical schools. You would study the head region first, maybe the shoulder region, and work your way down the body. Surface anatomy studies external features, and then anatomical imaging uses technologies like MRI to study internal structures. There are 6 levels of structure and function organization. So if we start at the smallest level, we get to atoms. And I was a chemistry major, so I love atoms. You guys, no one really likes chemistry. I didn't. I was doing it to get into med school. And then I got married and had kids. And now I love to teach even more. But so we start with the chemical level of organization, which is the smallest, where we look at atoms, chemical bonds, and molecules. The next level up from that is the cellular level of organization. And cells are our basic units of life. And cells are made up of atoms, bonds, and molecules. Cells will contain organelles in different compartments. Some of those organelle examples are the mitochondria, the nucleus, lysosomes. We'll go over some of those. Tissues is the next level of organization up. So tissues are made up of groups of cells with similar structures and functions, plus any extracellular substances that they could release. So tissues will be made up of cells themselves, but also everything else within the tissue that might not be cells. It could be collagen fibers, it could be proteins, it could be other extracellular matrix, it could be water. There's 4 types of tissues: epithelial tissue, connective, muscular, and nervous. And these are the 4 types of tissues that you should know in the body, and we'll go over what makes these 4 types of tissues unique as well. And again, a reminder, just holler out if you have a question, because there's a lot of chatting going on. You guys can respond to people in the chat. I see a lot of radiology, the tech program there, a lot of nursing, general requirements. Awesome, thanks for responding to that. Then organs. So organs are 2 or more tissue types acting together to perform a specific functions. You guys know many of your organs: the stomach, heart, liver, ovary, bladder, kidney. When we look at tissues, we'll usually classify tissues based on what organ they'll be involved with working together to create. So the urinary bladder, if you look at the wall, you'll see different types of tissues. Again, different types of tissues that will make up the organ itself. So organs are kind of our next highest level of structure and organization. Then different organs come together to create organ systems, and we have 11 organ systems in the body. For example, the digestive system, the reproductive system, here's the urinary system. Then we join all those organ systems to work together to create an organism, which is what are you and me. We also include associated microorganisms such as bacteria in this. So that is what an organism is, kind of our highest level of structure and organization within the body. So here's just another look at structure and functional organization, starting with atoms, which come together to form molecules of DNA, which is all of basically your body's genetic material, but it's all of the body's instruction for creating proteins. So that's what DNA is. Then we get into the cellular level of organization, into the tissue level, the organ system level, and then the organism level. So you should know this structure of organization in the body and the correct order of it. So you should know that atoms will join to become cells, tissues, organs, organ systems, and then organisms. No problem if your computer shut down, Jennifer. You can join back in at any point. Okay, so the major organs of the body are seen here. And I think some of the first labs will take us through some of these. Hopefully some of this is kind of common sense. This is probably the easiest part so far to see. The brain is located connected to your spinal cord, the lungs on either side of the heart in the center. The right side of your lungs have 3 lobes to them, and the left side of your lungs only has 2 lobes because it makes room for your heart, which is situated a little bit on the left side of the sternum. Your pancreas is behind the stomach. So the stomach is this J-shaped organ with the pancreas and spleen located behind it. Your liver is a really important organ for you, especially on the weekends. Hopefully you don't use it too much because you just want to take care of your liver. You don't want liver cancer or liver cirrhosis later in life. And then we have your intestines. The small intestines are more centrally located. They're called small intestines because of the size of the diameter of them. They're smaller than the large intestine. In the large intestine, you can see here ascends, transverses, and then descends across your abdomen. The large intestine is much shorter. The large intestine is also called your colon. So if you have known of anyone with colon cancer, that's cancer of the large intestine. And then the urinary bladder. So some of the major organs, this takes us through the major organ systems then. And again, there's 11 of them. We'll go through these throughout the course of the semester. Your integumentary system, your skin is called your largest organ because it covers your entire body. Skeletal system are all your bones. Muscular system are muscles. The nervous system includes all the brain and nerves, and it's your body's way of communicating, taking in stimuli, which is what you're all taking in right now, listening to me and seeing me talk, and then sending out some sort of response to all of your effector organs. Endocrine system are all of your hormones and the way that your body controls growth, puberty. Your endocrine system is extremely complicated, but also very interesting. Cardiovascular system are all of your heart and your blood vessels, which are your arteries and veins. The lymphatic system removes foreign substances from the blood and lymph. So I called the lymphatic system kind of the catch-all system. So all the extra tissue fluid goes through your lymphatic system. It also is sometimes called the immune system, but it's more properly known as your lymphatic system. If you are sick, sometimes your lymph nodes will swell because they're combating that sickness, usually with antibodies. The respiratory system is the way that your body exchanges carbon dioxide and oxygen, so it involves your lungs. Digestive system is taking in food sources and eliminating what you don't need. Urinary system is filtering the blood to create urine. So sometimes people get confused that your kidneys are a part of the digestive system, but the kidneys are its own separate urinary system. They filter all the blood in the body. So people who have to go to a dialysis center, their kidneys are not functioning. Sometimes they have to go several times a week because your kidneys need to filter out all the harmful substances in your blood daily. And if people can't do that on their own, they have to go to dialysis where they'll get hooked up to a machine. The machine filters the blood for them and then sends it back into the body. So if anything, hopefully you'll learn that you just got to take good care of your bodies. And that's why many of you are probably going into the healthcare field because you want to help other people do that too. Then the female and male reproductive system. Whoops, so that comes up to 11. Characteristics of life. All life and life forms are organized. So there's some sort of functional interrelationship between all the parts. All life forms go through metabolism, which is the sum of all their chemical and physical changes to sustain an organism. So metabolism is the ability to take in food and create energy from it. In us, we call that cellular metabolism or cellular respiration. Everything that you eat gets broken down to glucose, a 6-carbon chain or molecule, and that glucose goes through a series of reactions to create ATP, which is our body's form of energy. Responsiveness, all organisms are responsive. Everything that has life is the ability to sense and respond to environmental changes, and this includes both internal and external environments. You guys lost signal. No problem if you lose signal, just come back in. This is why I record the lectures. Every organism or life is able to grow. They can not only increase in size, but they can increase in size within their cells, their groups of cells, and all their extracellular materials. So you guys are able to grow. You're still able to grow even if you stopped growing by increasing muscle size. Development, from conception, you are developing and changing form and size. Changes in cell structure and function from generalized to specialized. So that happens during embryonic development. Everything comes from one cell line, and then each cell will differentiate or specialize to perform a specific function. Every organism that has life to it is able to reproduce, and that's just a formation of new cells or new organisms. So reproduction includes reproducing more cells, whether that's skin cells or reproducing an entire organism. Okay, let me just take a look at the time, and I want to see how far we've come so far. Because I don't want to go through too much because we have a couple more. Okay. I'm going to stop us here, I think, because we still have 2 more days to get through chapter 1. So we'll start with homeostasis. I know this is a shorter time, but I'm doing this on purpose just so that I'm giving you guys time to ask questions, because I want to make sure that we're all on the same page. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording, and then I'm just going to hang out here to answer any more questions you guys might have, okay?